The Honda Civic is not just a compact car, it's a movement. It built the tuner scene as we know it, going from humble economy car to street racing legend, show-stopping masterpiece, and motorsport hero. But how did a car that was designed for fuel economy end up dominating drag strips, track days, and car meets worldwide? Today, we are taking a look at how the Honda Civic became the foundation of the tuner scene and why it's still arguably the king of customization. Let's flash back to 1972 when Honda first introduced the Civic. It was a small, front-wheel drive hatchback designed to be cheap, efficient, and reliable. It was powered by a tiny 1.2-liter four-cylinder engine producing a whopping 50 horsepower. The Civic was more concerned with sipping gas than with burning rubber. Yet even back then, Honda's engineering brilliance was on full display. The Civic was simple, lightweight, and fun to drive. These are qualities that would eventually make it a tuner favorite. So in '73, the first-gen Civic gained a game-changing feature, CVCC, Compound Vortex Controlled Combustion technology. This engine innovation allowed the Civic to meet strict US emission standards without using a catalytic converter, putting Honda on the map as a serious automaker. The CVCC engine earned the Civic a reputation for reliability, but no one could have guessed it would one day rule the street racing world. By the time the second-generation Civic rolled out in 1979, Honda had fine-tuned its simple recipe: front-wheel drive, lightweight chassis, and peppy engines. The second-gen Civic expanded into sedan and wagon models, proving that small cars didn't have to be boring. However, it was still more about practicality and functionality than performance. The tuner movement was still decades away, but the change was coming. In '83, Honda dropped the third-gen Civic, and this is where things started heating up. The third gen introduced the legendary Civic Si, a sportier version with a fuel-injected 1.5-liter engine that made 91 horsepower, a decent number in the early '80s, all things considered. With its responsive chassis and lightweight design, the Si quickly earned a reputation as a fun, affordable car that could keep up with pricier European hot hatches like the GTI. Enthusiasts took notice, and the Civic's performance legacy began. Things really kicked into high gear, though, with the EF, the fourth-gen Civic. This is the generation that kicked off the tuner revolution. Honda introduced a game-changing feature: double wishbone suspension, which gave the Civic handling dynamics that embarrassed sports cars twice its price. The '89 Civic Si hatchback and the CRX at the same time became instant cult classics, offering a perfect balance of affordability, reliability, and tunability. Now, around this time, the aftermarket world began to flourish, taking note of Honda's engines, which were highly modifiable. With D-Series coming in the car and B-Series swaps becoming the gold standard for street builds, the B16A engine, introduced with the EF Civic Si-R, became legendary with its 1.6-liter displacement, VTEC, and an 8,000 RPM redline. While the US market never got the B16-powered Si-R, enthusiasts quickly figured out that you can take an engine from over here in Japan, bring it over here into the US, and put it in your USDM Civic Si. The tuner scene was officially born. The early '90s saw the rise of import culture in the US, fueled by car magazines, aftermarket catalogs, and local street racing scenes. Enthusiasts were drawn to the Civic for its affordability, its reliability, its endless modification potential, and the fact that you could take this thing out on the weekend, race it, and drive it to work on Monday. Swaps, intakes, headers, exhausts, coilovers, turbo kits, everything was available, often for less than what it would cost to modify domestic performance cars, and to go faster than those domestic performance cars. The Civic was cheap speed, and that's what made it dangerous. Then came the EG, the fifth-gen Civic, arguably the most iconic, although I may be an EK fan myself. Its aggressive angular design still looks fresh today, and the hatchback body style became a tuner favorite. If you think like modified Civic, you probably think of an EG hatch. The US finally got its own performance model in the form of the '92 to '95 Civic Si. Although it did lack the high-revving VTEC engines available overseas, that didn't matter. Enthusiasts had already cracked the formula for swapping B16As into their US spec cars, creating street monsters that could smoke V8-powered Mustangs with ease. The import drag racing scene exploded at the time, with Civics dominating tracks across the US. Events like Battle of the Imports, or NOPI, drew thousands of fans eager to watch four-cylinder Hondas destroy cars with twice the displacement. Civic drag builds became legend, with 10-second passes and 9-second passes becoming reality. The tuner scene wasn't just a hobby for weirdos that like Japanese cars anymore, it was a full-blown cultural movement. Now, as the late '90s and early 2000s rolled in, Honda delivered the ultimate tuner platform, the 6th gen, the EK, the best Civic ever made. With its cleaner, more aerodynamic design, the 6th gen was an instant hit. Honda introduced the EM1 Civic Si Coupe in '99, Electron Blue Pearl, best color ever, finally giving the US a B16 powered Civic with 160 horsepower, a manual transmission, and of course, VTEC, screaming all the way up to 8,000 RPM. The EM1 Civic Si became a tuner icon overnight, showing up at every car show, every street race, every magazine, every video game. If you could think about it, there was an EM1 there. Then, in 2001, Hollywood happened. The Fast and the Furious premiered, thrusting the Civic and the entire tuner scene into the global spotlight. The movie's opening scene featured black EG Civics, or the EKs, I can never remember, pulling off a high-speed truck heist, solidifying the car's status as the ultimate street racing machine. Overnight, Civic builds became the hottest thing in car culture and graced the covers of Super Street, Import Tuner, RIP. Meanwhile, the Honda industry went nuclear. Companies like Spoon Sports, Mugen, Skunk 2, Greddy, Pastor JDM all became household names in the tuner world, offering everything from full turnkey engine builds to track-ready suspension, turbo kits, exhaust, intakes. The Civic became the most modified car on the planet, with a global fan base that spanned every continent where you could grab a car. Even as newer Civic generations rolled out, the tuner legacy of the EF, EG, and EK never faded. The 7th gen Civic was not as tuner-friendly due to its less modifiable engines, but enthusiasts kept the flame alive by swapping in something new and important, the K-Series. Engines coming out of the RSX Type S, the K-Series platform, with its high-revving nature, great out-of-the-box horsepower, and massive aftermarket support, reignited the Civic's tuning potential. Honda punched back in 2006 with the 8th gen Civic Si, the FA5 and FG2, packing a K20 Z3 engine with 197 horsepower and the best 6-speed manual ever. Tuners quickly discovered that swapping in a K24 bottom end from a TSX could push power well beyond 300 horsepower, all while staying naturally aspirated. But here's the kicker, these things loved boost anyway. Today, Civics of every generation still dominate the tuner scene. From show-stopping wide-body builds, track monsters, and drag cars, the Civic remains the definitive tuner car. The 8th gen, 9th gen, 10th gen, they all do the same thing. They're affordable, they have rich aftermarket support, they've kept it relevant through decades of evolving car culture. The Civic didn't just build the tuner scene, it's the reason the tuner scene exists. It's the car that launched a movement, defined a generation of enthusiasts, and continues to inspire builders, racers, and dreamers worldwide. Long live the Honda Civic. Drop a comment down below with your favorite Honda Civic generation and what mods you would put on your dream Civic build. For me, it's a white EG6 SIR. That is like the goal. If someone wants to sell me one, hit the DMs on the Instagram page. If you guys have a Civic, which you probably do if you're watching this video, it's actually our most searched vehicle on our website. Click the link down below. You pick up some new wheels, tires, suspension, exhaust performance, whatever else we sell. Or if you can't swing a new set of wheels, check these out. They're really cool. They're mini and they're like $70 and they spin around like that. They're really sweet. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you watching. As always, click the like button if you liked it, subscribe button if you want to subscribe to the channel, bell icon to turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.